On August 7th, an adapter allowing the PSVR 2 to work on Steam VR was released to, well, relatively mediocre reception. Bugs and tracking issues were two of the biggest problems. The adapter simply does not come with a Bluetooth component, so you have to connect the controllers directly to your own computer's Bluetooth or buy an external adapter. And for a lot of people, myself included, buying a $60 adapter for a $550 headset and then needing to buy an additional $15 Bluetooth adapter, and by the way, you also have to supply your own display cord, so you might have to purchase that too. It's all just ridiculous, and I totally agree. Especially since for some people, you actually also need a USB extender on top of that for the Bluetooth signal to reach where you are playing. It's just kind of insane to think about. However, the adapter has been out for a good while now, and I've been using it for a long time. So have these issues been resolved? What kind of performance can I expect? How does it stack up against the Quest 3? And is it worth buying? Well, first off, they have come out with fairly regular updates so far. They fixed a number of common issues, including some bugs, glitches, distortions, and they made it so you can adjust the headset's refresh rate for people with AMD Radeon RX graphics cards, whereas before the native setting was exclusive to NVIDIA users. The last update they released as of right now is for a compatibility issue with one of the recommended external Bluetooth adapters. Overall, fairly sparse in terms of updates, but at least they supplied us with some necessary and very useful ones. For a lot of people, they will need a Bluetooth adapter, and some might even need that USB extender I was mentioning on top of that. However, for me, I got lucky and I didn't need to buy anything, which is weird. I really thought, given my tech luck, my computer's Bluetooth was not going to cut it, but it did. So my setup process was actually very easy. I just plugged in the adapter along with the power and display cords and connected my controllers via Bluetooth and plugged in my headset, then voila, I was good to go. Now, how does this headset actually run on my PC? Firstly, here's my computer specs, and then here we have two games I played on the PSVR 2. I was running these at 90 Hz, and one thing to note is that I was getting a fairly significantly higher performance when I wasn't recording, so keep that in mind. The first game is Contractors VR. Can I just say, by the way, I love this game. This game is it is my favorite VR shooting game. The mods in this game are just wonderful. Everything is such a treat. You can see the performance. I'm kind of just like running around in the lobby shooting zombies and stuff like that. You can get a good feel for just like looking at the specs and everything. And inside the headset, I didn't really notice any problems. I mean, you could see like some drops in frame rates, some reprojection percentage, whatever, all that. But in terms of the feeling, it felt fine inside the headset. Then I played Ancient Dungeon VR, another great game. This game's a lot less intensive than the Contractors. So on this one especially, I had no glitches, no distortions, everything ran great. This is one of the best dungeon roguelites of like all time, pretty much. It's so good. And then here are these same games on Quest 3 using a wireless adapter. Now this wireless adapter I used, here we're playing Contractors VR, I'm basically doing the same thing. I use this adapter called the VR AirBridge. It's just wireless thing. It costs $100, so that way if your internet connection isn't good enough to run AirLink very well, this creates its own Wi-Fi network for you to run it. This is what I use usually to play my games. But yeah, I mean, Contractors felt pretty much the same as in PSVR 2. Then we have Ancient Dungeon VR, which again felt, basically the same. I mean, these are two games that you really want to check for the performance with, because you have one that is super graphically intensive and is going to cost a lot of tax on your GPU and CPU and all this. But with Ancient Dungeon VR, it's much more casual, much more relaxed in terms of the processing power required. So that's good. But you'll notice actually that my average FPS and overall performance was better on Quest 3 than on PSVR 2. I honestly don't know why. I mean, inside the headset, I could notice a little bit of more frame consistency on the Quest 3, but I also noticed that when I was in intense sections, because I was using a type of AirLink, that I had distortions visually, which I had none on PSVR 2 with. So that's something to keep in mind. And if anyone wants to know, especially why these frames were different, just let me know. And I personally feel like I should probably be getting better performance given my PC specs. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't really know, but if that's the case, let me know. But most importantly, when the cameras are turned off, how's the internal experience? How do I feel while playing these games? Well, PSVR 2 offers the best colors I have ever seen in VR, period. Especially when I'm playing games that I've played for years. Everything is just so much brighter than ever before. The colors are wonderful. The resolution is solid. I mean, I personally never had any problems with the resolution on PSVR 2. I always found it very sharp, but what I did have problems with is finding the sweet spot all the time. This posed a potentially even bigger problem on PC for me. I was constantly adjusting the headset. I mean, I just had real issues with it. And for some reason, when I'm on PS5, I have less issues with that. Perhaps it's because of my play space and my setup, but it's just an annoying thing to constantly do. I mean, additionally, the wire was a little cumbersome. In an intense game like Contractors, I can sometimes find myself coiled up. Although it's definitely far from a deal breaker, overall the PSVR 2 as a PSVR headset is very solid to me. The colors and brightness are exceptional, while the sweet spot, cord, and resolution still remain the biggest gripes I have with it. Now, should you buy this thing? If you have a PSVR 2 and a VR-ready PC, yes, you should absolutely. You get so many more games to access for only $60 for the adapter and maybe the Bluetooth if you need that. And it's ultimately so worth it just to play those games. But if you already have a Quest 3 like I do, then I'm going to say probably not, or like almost definitely not, because the Quest 3 has so many options, including a lot of free ones for playing PC VR games, and the headset is, top notch. With the two main criticisms I have for the Quest 3 actually being brightness and color. So really, if you are deciding whether to make PSVR 2 or Quest 3 your primary PC VR headset, then it really comes down to two questions. The first is whether brightness and color, or resolution and sweet spot, are more important for you. Choose those pair as your criteria, and then the second is your budget, and obviously which headsets you already own. So after everything, in all this time, the PSVR 2 is an incredibly capable PC VR headset. It doesn't quite stack up to Quest 3, especially in terms of versatility for me, but I would argue it is one of the best PC VR headsets you can get for the price.